and we were in the garden, and my cat came over the fence, yeah. And he said, I've never seen anyone do a double take before. He went. We'll brew the coffee and we'll do this and then I'll make the coffee. Okay. Hi there, I'm Anthony Molloy. I'm currently a councillor for Kilburn. And I'm Kilburn aristocracy. And my mum was born on the kitchen table at 47 Dine Road in 1920. And that was about 10 years after her dad had bought the property. So that's to say it was about right at the beginning of Kilburn, really. Kilburn kind of grew up in the late 1890s. So my granddad bought that property in about 1910. You know, he actually bought it for about 100 guineas, which is 105 quid. You know, now it's worth about 2 million. You know, but that's another story now. So my family is Kilburn through and through. And especially kind of my mum, really. You know? So my mum, she had a very fond memory of the opening of the Gaumont State in Kilburn, the cinema, which was, I think it was in 1938 or 1939. And there is actually a nice little video that you can look at on YouTube, which was filmed the evening of the grand opening, and it was pretty grand actually. And charmingly, the little video is called An Acre of Seats in a Garden of Dreams. Isn't that a lovely name for a little film? And that's what it was. And originally they had, I don't know, like 1,000 seats or something. And they put an extra one in so that it would be an acre of seats. You know, because it wasn't quite, 1,000 wasn't quite an acre of seats. So there was like one little seat added on the end of one of the rows to make it an acre of seats in a garden of dreams. Yeah. You said sugar?
Yes, please. Yeah? Yes, please.
Yeah, so, and then moving down the generations, my sister was born at number 43 Dine Road, because my parents were living there, you know, two doors down from her parents, you know. And I remember my sister's 21st birthday party a while ago now, and they invited the milkman, because he was her first memory, because my mum used to put her out in the pram in the front garden, and so every day the milkman would come by. Charlie, his name was, and that was her first memory. But he had to retire from the milk round because he couldn't understand the decimal currency when they changed, so he took early retirement. I don't know, when I was born, my parents weren't living in Kilburn, so strictly speaking I was actually born in Bart's Hospital, but and they were living up north because my dad worked for the civil service and he was always being moved around. But I came back to Kilburn when I was 6 years old with a strong Lancashire accent. There used to be this radio show called The Clitheroe Kid, and that was a kid with a strong Lancashire accent. And so when I came to London, they all called me the Clitheroe Kid at school, so I had to lose that pretty damn quick, you know. So school, I went to Mallory's, which is a school up in Brunsbury Park, and then later I went to Marleman Grammar School, which was on the Euston Road. It's not there anymore, it's long gone. And, yeah, so going down the generations again, and my mum was at the opening of the Gaumont State, and me and my mates, our main appointment of the week was for Saturday morning pictures at the Gaumont State. I don't know how many people remember Saturday morning pictures, but it was quite a thing when I was young, and yeah, I used to get naff old cowboy movies, and you had to boo the Indians and cheer the cowboys or whatever, but it was good fun, and it went on for hours, you know. And then we'd all go swimming in Granville Road Baths, which was a desperate old a really old-fashioned, worthless swimming pool, but we had fun. I mean, there was like 500 kids in there, making a racket.
And you have any?
But it was incredibly noisy. You imagine 500 kids shrieking their guts out. There used to be a guy that went down there every Saturday morning and played it. I mean, I think it's like the best organ in the country. And when the church moved in, they ripped the organ out and basically threw it away, or did what they could. But then it turns out that that's a listed thing. I don't know how that works. So they had to put it back, So it's all down there. It still comes out of the ground. That was a bingo hall, the bit on Willesden Lane. The old restaurant, I think. I mean, like I say, I never saw it as a restaurant, but I mean, that bit of that had been the restaurant became a bingo hall, and so actually my grandma. So this is my mum's mum, She was about 80, and she used to go to bingo like 2 or 3 times a week. It was her main thing. And she won a car once. I mean, she'd never driven anything. And
what happened to the car?
I think they gave you a cash alternative, I think.
Oh, right.
And she liked the money, my mum's mum, my grandma, Millie. And yeah, there's a lot of stories about that, but I'm going to wash all the family's dirty.
Action.
Pause a minute.
Yeah.
So what changed between the first quarter and the second quarter of 2023 was the temporary accommodation bill. And this is a real can of worms. It's a very complicated story. But basically there's a perfect storm that means that people are getting evicted from basically the private rental sector. That is to do with the cost of living crisis, so that people fall into rent arrears. It's to do with landlords leaving the housing market because the regulations are tightening up. And there's a number of other less important elements. But the result is that the number of, because when a family is made homeless, the council is obliged to rehouse them, And a lot of these families are big families, They have 3 or 4 or 5 kids, And we do not have any housing for that kind of family, so we have to put them in bed and breakfast, And basically between the first quarter and the second quarter of this year, the bill rose. It like doubled, and that is what's killing Brent Council. All these council bankruptcies, they're all different, each one has a different story. So Birmingham, it was an equal pay thing, Brent doesn't have that, and the financial management of Brent has been very, very prudent. If you'd asked me 5 years ago, I'd have said they were too prudent, and I'd have been dead wrong, because we're on the way to bankruptcy now, and if I'd been in charge, it would have happened years ago. Social housing is the main priority, and Brent Council is doing a pretty good job in very, very, very straitened circumstances of providing what Londoners, especially young Londoners, need the most: affordable accommodation. That was a bit political, wasn't it?
No.
But it's a statutory duty of the council, so the council has to find whatever the cash is necessary. So what they do is the Home Secretary comes in and installs a kind of technocratic administration, and as I said earlier, what they do is they cut services to the bare minimum, that they're within their statutory obligations. So people think that the council is about collecting rubbish and parking and all that. That's not what a council does, What a council does is it cares for its vulnerable residents, notably the elderly, that's adult social care, and the young people, that's children and young people. And 2/3 of a council's expenditure is on those 2 items, As I said, temporary accommodation is becoming a serious issue, but it's still, it's tiny compared with adult social care and children and young people. One of the silver linings to this very, very gloomy cloud is that it's not just Labour-controlled councils that are going under. I mean, basically speaking, 7 or 8 have already gone, the ones that you've heard about. 70 to 80 are almost certainly going to go, for, as I say, for lots and lots of different reasons. 70 or 80 are almost definitely going to go out of the 575 local authorities in the United Kingdom. Brent is about 120, So, but as I said, things are changing very, very fast, and what you hear one week is completely different from what you heard the week before. And I mean, it's extraordinary, and it's scary. And in the financial people, you can see it in their eyes. They've never, for a start, they've never had to deal with inflation in their whole careers. And now suddenly they got that, and that seems to be fading a bit. But I mean, the core problem is the derogation, the absence of local government funding. In Brent, we've lost about 250 million. That's something like 20% of our budget. And so the silver lining to this great cloud is that as many Tory councils are going under as Labour councils. So, I mean, since 2010, the coalition and the Tory administrations, they've been pretty cynical. They've let local authorities slide because the first ones to go are the ones with the highest needs, which are Labour controlled, because they're full of poor people. Right. I was at the Labour Party conference, so the week before, Jeremy Hunt, in his party conference, in the Tory party conference, he said, we've had to make difficult decisions. The next week, Angela Rayner said something very cute, I think, and she said, no you didn't, you unloaded them all onto local authorities, and there's a lot of truth in that. And so, the silver lining is that Jeremy Hunt is hearing as much whinging from Tory authorities as he is from Labour authorities. He's got to do something. I mean, they're talking about tax cuts. It's absolutely mad, When public services, what we all see every day, the rubbish, the antisocial behaviour, the decimated policing, when all that is going down the tubes, and it's going down the tubes because a cynical, ideologically right-wing government wants to shrink the state. That's enough.
That's enough.
So, me and my family have a long history in Kilburn, and I must admit, now it's a great honour to be the local councillor. My mum was very active in Labour Party politics, and I kind of took on that mantle from her, and they were bugging me for a long time to become a councillor, but I didn't think I'd be very good at it, and I avoided it for a long time. But when I retired from my paid work, I decided to have a go, and it's an honour to represent the people of Kilburn, and I think I'm doing it all right, actually. There's a lot of people who disagree, especially this week when we passed a planning permission for the Kilburn Square estate. But it's an honour to be a councillor for Kilburn, especially in a borough that is constructing so much social housing that we need so badly. And I'll leave it at that.